to be under the bright lights. I want to be on the Broadway stage.
Tiger Rag Radio is on now.
This is Jeff Palermo, along with the executive editor for Tiger Rag Magazine, Todd Horn, and the editor, Glenn Gilbo, and Jackson Blackman, our producer. Let's look ahead to this weekend. Should be a fun weekend with LSU baseball back at the box. LSU softball's got a big series against Texas. They're slumping a little bit too. But you got the LSU gymnastics squad who is peaking at the right time, trying to go back-to-back. And we bring in the Hall of Fame coach, DD Breaux, who started it all. She joins us here on the Max Home Hotline. Coach Breaux, thanks a lot for your time tonight. Are you already in Fort Worth, or are you jumping on the plane?
I'm leaving tomorrow.
Oh, that's what I figured. Okay.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
What do you think of this squad as you watch them develop all season long? There's a lot of older girls on this team, and then there's also a great there's been a great injection of younger performers as well, and it's really melded very well here, and they have been at the top of their game here the last few meets.
Well, consistency wins, and you can string together a few high scores and do okay. But to win this event, you got to be stringing together 9 9s and 9 9 5s. And hopefully throw out a 9.85. So they've got their work cut out for them this weekend. But I tell you what, Jeff, and you know this, anybody that's good enough to win the SEC championship is good enough to win the national championship.
You're right about that. The competition, though, how impressed are you with Oklahoma, Florida, Cal? I mean, just some of these other. I mean, I've been following it. You've obviously been in it in the trenches here for much longer than me, but just and watching that SEC championship meet, just the amount of talent and the amazing gymnastics that we saw, it just seems like the sport is taken off to another level.
Well, here's the key: you have to be under a rock if you're not seeing how fabulous women's gymnastics is in the SEC. We've got Olympians, we've got national champions from all levels, all gamuts. We've got international athletes. We've got and it's amazing. And when I started, however many years ago that was, I was working every day just to have Title IX equality, to create opportunities for women, to be able to put a program out there that's going to be sustainable, that nobody's going to want to pick on and drop anymore, and now, and also to be relevant. And now I go to gymnastics meets, not just at LSU, but, sometimes I'm on the road and I see what's going on other campuses, and it's parity. There's so many great age group kids out there and so many coaches out there that are doing a tremendous job preparing kids to be in college. That's the pinnacle for women's gymnastics. There's just a very few of them that go to the Olympics, but to be able to be on a collegiate team like the ones you said and LSU, you're talking an incredible growth spurt that a lot of people have paid big prices to see this come about.
So, DD, this is Todd. You're responsible as much as anybody else, if not more so than anybody else, for what you just described with the growth of the sport in general. Certainly at LSU, but I would say for the popularity across the country and the depth of that popularity. What compelled you to bring in Jay Clark when you did, and why did you do that?
Well, because I was tired of every time a job became available, my assistant coach was going to go apply for that job. And when Georgia did what they did to Jay Clark and just blatantly fired him after, not enough time to get this thing going, I knew right then. I told Joe Oliva, I said, I need your permission to go after this guy, and it's going to take a lot more money than I was paying my assistant, because I knew what was going to happen. They fired him. Philip was going to either apply for the job or the assistant coach was going to try to take him. And I called Jay and I told him, hey, you're the guy. My athletic director said whatever it takes. And it eventually had, over about a quiet 2 weeks. And then the following week we announced it. But you got to have consistency wins, and you've got to have consistency in your staff, and you've got to have a consistent recruiting effort, and then you've got to be continually, even back then, continually recruiting these kids every year, polishing the rock and just getting that much better. And now I look at what Kim Mulkey's going through, where she's having to replace the team because these kids can just walk out the door and go someplace else because somebody's going to pay them more money. That's absolutely out of control.
Yes, I agree totally, DD.
Somebody needs to put a cap on it.
Yes.
Somebody needs to put some parameters on it. But for kids to be able to walk out the door and go someplace because somebody's paying them some more money is absolutely ludicrous. I mean, what are we doing? Because some of these kids are making more money now in college than they'll ever make as adults trying to provide for their families, unless they go to professional school.
It's
and
amazing.
These kids are, we need to wake up and look at what we're doing here.
And they could still make really good money or as much money even if they had better guardrails. It's not about them getting paid. It's their own organization.
Before kids had NIL deals and all this was going on, they were getting a cost of living check. They were getting an academic incentive check. They were getting meal money, book money, all this money. And I've had student athletes graduate with $30,000 in the bank.
Yeah, and the kids from poorer families, they also had special scholarships too.
Well, yeah, Pell Grants.
Pell Grant, exactly.
On top of all that.
Right.
But who the heck? What's going to happen with Pell Grants now with what we've got going on at the national level? But back to gymnastics.
Yeah, well, Dee Dee.
Sounds like that's been simmering under your skin.
Dee Dee, let me ask you.
And while I'm on a tirade, let's talk about why does gymnastics have to be on Easter weekend?
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one.
Why can't this always be the off weekend before the national championships? I don't get it. I don't understand.
Oh.
It makes no sense. I'm not a rocket scientist, but I can look at a calendar and go, that's Easter.
Well, it does move every year, but you can figure out when it is. Yeah, that is kind of crazy.
Good point. Very good point.
Yeah, you figure it out.
Well, Dee Dee, you need to be an analyst, man.
When I was coaching, very seldom was I home for Easter or home Sunday.
Yeah.
So I mean, to me, it's one of the pluses of me not coaching now and being retired and really enjoying what I'm doing and all of the fruits of all of my labor and really being able to do public speaking and doing all the things that I did before, except I'm not tied to being in the gym every day. And that was the hardest thing, is having this time thing that I was so programmed to be somewhere at a certain time and do this at this time and this time of year. And I'm finally, after 4 years of retirement, I'm finally going, oh, this is how that works.
That's awesome. Dee Dee, let me ask you, when you did hire Jay, that was before the 2013 season, you hired Jay. At that time, were you thinking of him as a possible coach in waiting? You were.
And Joe asked me, Joe's like, is this the guy? I went, this is absolutely the guy. This guy coaches, he recruits, he is a tireless recruiter. He stays in touch with the kids. He's got that first date appeal. You just like him, And so, Joe Oliva pretty much gave me a pretty good go ahead, let's go after this guy. Let's do what it takes. And then after that, we had to work real hard to keep him because, we were having success. He built on the success that we were already having. We get this fabulous facility. Everything's moving in a positive direction. Everything's happening for us. We're winning the conference. We're, finishing runner-up, 3 times. But for him to take that baton and carry that up the hill and plant the flag at the top of the hill I felt like it was my victory.
Yes, it was. It was. You saw him. You hired him. You built it.
Coach, we're talking with DD Breaux on the Max Home Hotline. Let's look ahead to this to the meet. What do you think of the format here? And what's the biggest challenge with it? You You have the day-night session on Thursday. And then, of course, if you're one of the top 4 scoring teams, you advance to Saturday's championship round. What's the biggest challenge they're going? They got a taste of it back in the regionals when they were in Penn State. So how much of a benefit is that they just kind of had the same format just 2 weeks ago?
Well, that's a plus, and those of us that have been in the trenches in this sport for a long time, this is what we dreamed of. This is what Greg Morrison at Utah, Sara Patterson, Suzanne Younglin, this is what we envisioned for this to be, and it's happening. And to get the day off in between. When I was coaching, we never got the day off in between, so you really had to train different. Now you can really rest your kids a little bit more, and hopefully we'll be rested and bring our best performance on Thursday, because that's a tough rotation to get out of. We got to beat Utah, or we got to beat Michigan State, which almost beat us at regionals. I mean, we've got a tough road ahead of us. So but I think they're ready. I think we've certainly got the talent to get it done.
It's going to be bittersweet, though, to know that this is it for Haley Bryan and Aaliyah Finnegan and what they've meant to this program.
Well, those are two thoroughbred athletes that work like workhorses. There's two kinds of, there are more than two categories, but you got your workhorse, the kids that are in there every day, plowing, and they get the job done, and they come back for more. And then you got those thoroughbreds that we've had a lot of them through the years, and you really have to be careful about how much you have them do, and backing off and giving them that rest day. And but we've got Haley Bryan and Aaliyah Finnegan are real thoroughbreds, and they work like workhorses.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great combo.
Yeah, they're amazing. Susan Jackson was a workhorse. I mean, and she was an absolute clown in the gym and a pleasure to work with and all of that. But she was a workhorse. She just worked at it every day, but she made it look so easy and so much fun. And I think that's the key to having a successful run, is don't take yourself too seriously, and it's Shot World Hunger. Go out there and have a good time.
Coach Breaux, thanks a lot. We appreciate it. Enjoy your Easter weekend in Fort Worth. Hopefully LSU's bringing back another championship.
Well, if we get out of that first rotation, then, you figure Oklahoma and Florida are going to get out of their rotation.
Yeah.
That finals is going to be a barn burner. It's going to be like the SEC championships, and if it is like that, we win.
Yeah, there we go. All right, I like your optimism. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Take care. Hey, take care. Tell your wife I said hi.
I certainly will.
The East Baton Rouge Parish Library welcomes Jeffrey Marks, author of its 19th annual One Book, One Community Pick, Season of Life, to the main library at Goodwood on Sunday, April 27th at 3 p.m. Learn more about this exciting author talk on youth mentorship at readonebook.org. That's ReadOnebook.org.